Stranger Things took Netflix by storm when it premiered in July 2016, and it's still breaking records after 6 years. According to online reports, Season 3 had more viewers than any other film or television series in its first 4 days of release. Now the series has a large cast. Furthermore, the majority of the actors are teenagers. Netflix knew they needed to establish some ground rules for their cast members to follow. Here are some of the most bizarre rules for the Stranger Things actors. First up, the teens cannot come to set with makeup on and must have a nice, fresh face. According to online sources, the actors must arrive on set without makeup and dressed as if they only have just stepped out of the shower. Millie Bobby Brown is responsible for this rule, which the rest of the cast can thank. Brown arrived on the set covered in glitter during Stranger Things Season 1 filming. Granted, she was 11 at the time, but this one hiccup caused a 45-minute delay in filming. However, she's not the only reason for the rule. The series takes place in the 1980s. This necessitates a specific makeup look. It's much easier to start with trusted makeup artists who know the look the creators, Ross and Matt Duffer, are going for. No haircuts for actor Joe Carey, aka Steve. Hair from the 1980s had a distinct style, similar to makeup, and the Duffer brothers are keen on the characters looking authentic. This is especially very true for Joe Carey's character, Steve Harrington. Nobody can deny that Carey has luscious locks and his hair is highlighted in this role. At the end of the second season, he even gives Dustin a hair tutorial. Now, Carey has to get permission from the Duffer brothers before getting a haircut because Steve, the hair Harrington style, is so iconic. Another rule, no cell phones on set. Have we mentioned that this show takes place in the 1980s? And guess what didn't exist in the 1980s? Cell phones. Cell phones are not permitted on set in order to keep the cast in the right frame of mind and connected to their characters. Furthermore, this prevented the cast from posting on social media while at work. The showrunners are adamant that no spoilers be leaked in any way, and the lack of access to social media while working reduced the chances of an unintentional slip-up to almost nil. Next up, don't get too buff. We all know by now that Stranger Things is set in the 80s, so Netflix and the Duffer brothers are picky about the cast members' physiques. They do not want any of the cast members to be muscular. According to online sources, Dacre Montgomery, who plays the character of Billy Hargrove, was told that his body didn't fit the theme, so he changed his diet and gained a few pounds, despite the fact that he just finished playing Jason, the Red Ranger, in Power Rangers. Another rule which does seem quite obvious, but no British accent. If you've seen the show, you'll recall that the series' setting was 1980s America. However, Will's older brother, played by Charlie Heaton, is originally from the United Kingdom. As a result, he was forced to completely alter his pronunciation so that there was no trace of any British accent whenever he spoke. It took 50 shots for him to say the name Nancy in an American accent. All we can say is that you did an excellent job, John. Under no circumstances should the plot be revealed. Netflix took precautionary measures to step further by preparing interview sheets for the actors. They instructed them on what they should and should not discuss in interviews. They were also told how much they should reveal in order to prevent show clips from leaking. They were wary, even warning the actors not to post anything on social media that might reveal sensitive information. We're not surprised by the fan base's growth, to be honest. Make sure you get comfortable in 80s clothes. Although it may appear that the 1980s were an era of comfortable clothing, the material of jeans at the time was anything but. According to The Binger, Joe Carey stated in an interview that the jeans were extremely tight, but he trained for 6 weeks prior to filming to look like a swimmer for his character, or so he thought. It turned out that the Duffer brothers rewrote his character, but Joe Carey didn't mind because he could fit perfectly into those tight jeans. And finally, Eleven needs to think that she is E.T. The show contains numerous references to the 1982 science fiction film E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Stranger Things Season 1 fans, on the other hand, see the most. The Duffer brothers have always been very open about their inspiration for the series, coming from 1980s movies. They even instructed Brown to imagine himself as an alien. While filming Season 1, Brown told IndieWire, "They told me that the performance that they wanted me to resemble was E.T., and sort of that relationship between E.T. and the kids. That piqued my interest." And Matt and Ross said, "Basically, you're going to be an alien." As the show enters its 4th season, Eleven's character has settled in nicely thanks to her Hawkins friends. Fans are hoping to learn more at Netflix's upcoming global fan event. However, no specific release date has been set. All we can do for the time being is wait for 2022 to arrive with new episodes as soon as possible. Speaking of the set of Stranger Things, here are some of the biggest behind-the-scenes secrets. First up, because Joe Carey was so cool, the character of Steve was rewritten. Stranger Things begins with Steve, a stereotypical 80s cocky guy complete with Ray-Bans and a popular collar. The Duffer brothers had intended to do away with Steve Steve, but after meeting actor Joe Carey, they rewrote the entire character. Once we found Joe Carey, Steve started to evolve a bit and become more charming and likable, to the point where when we were writing season 1, we realized we wanted to give him more of an arc. Matt Duffer explained on Beyond Stranger Things. Next, Millie Bobby Brown really didn't want to do this one thing. 11, played by Millie Bobby Brown, and more recently known as Jane Hopper, is undoubtedly one of the show's most important characters. Her shaved head and bloody nose have become iconic to the show since its debut in 2016. While the young actress may have begun the series by fully committing to the hairstyle, it appears that Millie was not ready to say goodbye to her locks for the 4th season. Stranger Things stylist had to go through a skilled process to ensure that a shaved wig looked as realistic as possible for the season. Millie Bobby Brown cried because of this cast member's costume. While most Stranger Things costumes are bright pop trends from the 1980s, one cast member's costume and makeup brought Millie Bobby Brown to tears. Jamie Campbell Bower revealed to Variety that his Vecna costume and makeup were so terrifying that it made Millie cry during a particularly spooky, intense scene. They brought her up into a position where she's bound, Campbell Bower said. When I approached her as Vecna, she burst into tears. She wouldn't look at me and seemed disgusted by the whole thing. And finally, the costumes worn by the cast had this major flaw. Millie Bobby Brown and Jamie Campbell Bower were not the only ones who struggled with the series' season 4 costumes. John Kerry and Maya Hawke discussed the difficulties they faced while filming the season 4 scene due to their incredibly heavy costume pieces when breaking down a specific tense sequence shot by shot. All this gear was so heavy, Kerry said, such as the flak jacket I'm wearing. Hawke went on to say, I feel like this season we were always so hot or freezing. Our attire was inappropriate for any weather. These two characters actually fought on set. In Stranger Things 2, Sheriff Hopper serves as a father figure to 11, Brown, and the two do not get along. She's upset about not being allowed to leave the house, and he's concerned about her being discovered by the scientists at the lab. They have several major fights, and it turns out that some of their emotions were genuine. Brown stated at the 2018 Playfest that the two actors went through so many emotions, we got angry at each other. We were like father and daughter. We got angry at each other, we would express our feelings on and off the set, and those scenes were so raw and real that the reward was so great, she continued. And finally, all the kids go to school together on set. Even if you think the kids never see each other, especially those who don't share any screen time, it turns out that they're together all the time. It's just that they're studying. We all go to school together, so we all get to see Brown just as much. Gaten Matarazzo, who plays Dustin, told CNN. Brown agreed, saying that while 11 was locked in Hopper's shack on the show, she was free to roam. We did pre-algebra together, so I believe it was adequate. I enjoy collaborating with them. And there you have it, everything you need to know about some of the strict rules that Stranger Things cast had to follow on set. Additionally, we also touched on some of the strangest behind-the-scenes secrets, but let us know what your thoughts are in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching.